hello, welcome to Friday Night Conversation. It's great to have you with us tonight. Hope you're good. Hope you've had a good week. And here we are. We're in March of the year 2021. Hey. Got that right. You see, I'm trying to show you this is live, you see, so anything could go wrong, and it invariably does. But got some great folks. We're talking about friendships tonight. If I say, na 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 na,
that was great.
I thought that was beautiful.
Yeah. So do it again.
Yeah.
Da na 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 na. So we were going to do this thing, right, of putting that theme tune on the intro to this because it's about friendship, right? And Jonas said, "Oh, we can't for copyright reasons."
Copyright.
They should have just got you, Pastor Roy, to film that beforehand.
But the thing is, even
we've got it now.
It still would be copyright because I'm performing their piece of music. I mean, probably there'd be a copyright sign now because I just done no.
We'll have to block out the first 30 seconds of this podcast.
We'll have to block out the first 30 seconds. Anyway, for those of you who've just joined us after it's been blocked out. Talking about friendship tonight, got some great folks. We've got Angie with us, we've got Pastor Jonah with us, we've got Pastor Joe with us, and we've got Noel with us as well. And so for everybody who's listening on Spotify as well, we'll try to sort of differentiate the different voices that are going on here. And if you can just name yourself or something like that, I don't know. Anyway, so let's begin. Difference then. So am oh boy, where do we start? All right, difference between a friend and an acquaintance. What's the difference? No.
Pastor, you're looking at me. I was like, am I going first?
You're here, and I'm putting the pressure on you. And basically, all the questions are being directed at you tonight.
Come on.
Yes.
Yes.
We'll all be asking you questions tonight.
For me, I would say there is a big difference with that because, for example, people I hang around with, maybe my work colleagues, I would look at as an acquaintance.
Yep.
But the people I would call my friends, I think there are several things that come under that characteristic. One would be loyalty. So the way they talk in front of me is the same they talk behind my back. So if someone was to say something when I'm not there, they would have my back and say, like, "Oh, don't talk about." No, that's the kind of friends I want to be around. The other one I would say is they have to add value to me. So if we think about like in terms of just our relationship in terms of Christians, I want people that would bring me closer to God rather than people that draw me away from God. So if they're encouraging kind of behavior that we know doesn't align with the kingdom, then I don't want to be hanging around with those kind of people.
So you've got a high bar for friendship.
I do.
Is that why you don't have any friends?
Yeah.
I had to do a whole exam.
Wow, thank you.
It's really funny. Yeah. I couldn't resist that. You see, when Noel's here, I just want to mess around.
He literally
dangerous with Noel.
set himself up.
I think something else. When I preach, right, in the Junction Church, I look at Noel. Noel is the one who's goading me to say ridiculous things. So if I ever say ridiculous things when I preach in the Junction Church, it's Noel. It is completely Noel. Anyway, okay, so that's a good differentiation between an acquaintance and a friend. And you've just put in some of the things you'd look for in friendship. So let's have a general conversation. And we're obviously talking about this, I suppose, from a faith perspective as well. What kind of elements make up a really good friendship? What's the stuff that produces the magic of friendship? And can you? I mean, you might not be able to define it, but you can mention general things. For example, for me, people who laugh at my jokes. You are my best friend forever, especially when they're not funny, which is most of the time. So, in fact, I remember when I was dating my wife, and I said a ridiculous joke, and she laughed, and I thought, that's it.
That's the one.
I said, you're the one.
There it is.
Angie, so for me, humor. I like so friendship. I don't want it to be intense. Yes, there are times when it can be intense, but I don't want it always to be intense.
It's true.
Intense. If it's too intense, it's like it's a burden. I want to chill. So that's me. Elements for good friendship.
Yeah, no, I think off the back of that, I heard something this week where they kind of talked about how friendship shouldn't actually be hard work.
Yep.
And I think another element of why what a friendship needs to work is actually like friends serve a purpose, don't they? Like, your friendship's got to add value to your life or, build you up, support you, encourage you in some type of way. And I feel like if there's no purpose to it sounds really bad because like you don't look at someone just as a purposeful person. But I feel like, you know, you haven't really got time to waste when it comes to friendship. So you probably want someone that's, you know, serving you as you serve them in some type of way.
Yeah.
That's great.
What do you think, Jonah?
Yeah, I love what Angie said there about it not being hard work. I feel like something that comes along with that is just celebrating one another's victories. You know what I mean? Like when something is going well in one another's life, it's really nice to be able to celebrate that. Like I know, like I think Noel passed an accountant's exam like really recently and stuff, and it's like it's really great that then it's something that we get to celebrate together. Do you know what I mean?
An accountancy exam. Really?
It's just
sorry. Well done,
numbers.
Noel.
It's not that difficult.
He passed maths.
1 + 1 = 11.
But okay, so let me ask you a question then. Speed at which friendships develop. How long does it take? Is there such a thing as a quick friendship? Is that possible, or do they take months or weeks or years to develop? What's the deal?
Coming into like relationships with people, like when you meet them for the first time, like everybody, like you both come with your various backgrounds and your various interests and stuff, and I think that initial interaction is what's key.
Let me give you a word: connection.
That initial connection is what's key, because then if you already share quite a lot in common, then I feel like you can actually form a friendship pretty quickly. You know, if you're like, well, we share a lot in common, we have the same values, we're sort of in the same direction, it's a lot easier to form a quick friendship.
You can share a lot in common and still detest each other, can't you?
You could do, but we're going off the proviso that you don't detest each other.
No, let's not go off. Let's stay that, because there are some people in life, you know, who might have the same values, and you think, nah. Yeah,
I mean, you'll find that out, won't you? Like you find that out as you go along. But I think what I'm trying to get at is there's no real time scale. Like it won't. It's rare that it happens instantly, but it's not uncommon.
I always feel like I'm interrupting because you say interesting things, then you provoke me to speak. I'm always nervous of friendships that like develop overnight. You know, my best friend, and then best friends are declared on Facebook. My best friend. You always know. You think, I'll give that 3 weeks. Yeah. Is that me being old and cynical, or what?
I think it's been realistic.
Yeah. No.
She was agreeing with me.
Right now.
I was saying
timing is key.
Pastor Joe, not you, Pastor Ray.
You're saying I'm old and cynical.
Of course not, Pastor Ray. You're
you
welcome
keep laughing
to
at my
TRG.
jokes and you'll do all right. That's your saving grace right now.
No, I was gonna ask the same question. Like, should you be wary when like you've made a friend like really quickly?
I think so. Maybe this is just it's personal perspective, isn't it? I just think it takes time to. You know, some people are just slow burner. I'm a slow burner when it comes to friendships. I don't rush it. I don't want to rush it. I don't want to declare this is my best friend. No, because we've not stood the test of time yet. And, you know, and I only find out that somebody's my friend when I'm going through the worst hell on earth and they're still there. You think, oh, okay, maybe this has got a chance of going somewhere. Whereas, you know, when it's not been tested and it's just a friendship on a shallow level, or to project, look at me, I've got friends, hey, you know, all that sort of stuff. Well, I mean, I suppose when you're in your late teens and early 20s, there's a pressure to do a bit of that. Do you see the great thing about getting up to where I am now, which is 23?
Yeah.
22.
I'm a bit older than that. That pressure's gone. You think, nah, I don't really have time to mess about with that stuff anymore. I just want to, you know, if it's going to be good, let's take our time with it, not rush it, etc. Anyway, that's my perspective. How important is chemistry? Because you talked about it's what, you know, things that are in common bring us together. I don't think that's true at all. I think you're totally wrong.
I concede.
See, we're still friends.
And we're still great friends.
This is the kind of. I think chemistry's got a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
You know, you can have somebody who has nothing that is really in common with you, but there can still be chemistry there, can't there? You think, oh, I really like hanging out with this person. Don't you think? How important is chemistry? Angie?
Yeah, no, I think it's really, really important. Again, I was listening to something else about this woman who's like a friendship expert, and she was talking about the difference between interaction and intimacy. And many of our friendships, you know, we think we're close to people because we interact with them on a daily basis, but actually, you know, like you said, the chemistry and the intimacy is actually what we should be looking for. So just because I say hi to Pastor Jonah doesn't mean, as you said, we're best friends, but the chemistry and like the intimacy of how deep our relationship is, like really plays a part into, I guess, how long and how far your friendship will go as well.
Yeah. What do you think, Jonah?
Yeah, I really agree with that, because I think...
Do you want to lift your mic?
This microphone is giving me nightmares.
Jonah's such a pro that he would be willing, and the further down it goes,
Just
punching
follow
over like an OAP for the rest of the time. His mic's going down. Go on.
No, I think chemistry really matters, doesn't it? Because actually, otherwise, you can just have, you know, a brilliant person there, but without that connection, well, we're not going to enjoy spending time with one another.
Yeah.
And actually, those within friendships, you know, you don't want to just be like sat next to somebody. Yes, we agree on the foundational truths of life, but we just hate hanging out. Like, what's the point?
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, that's why Christian denominations came about. Like, they pretty much believe the same stuff. They just can't stand each other.
Yeah.
You know, really. What do you think, Joe?
I agree with that. On the denominations or the chemistry bit? No, I think chemistry is important. You're absolutely right about that. And actually, when you think about it, the closest people in your life are the people that you didn't really feel a lot of pressure to be something else around. You know, you can just be you, and there's just that connection, like you said. And I think that's actually a key ingredient to good friend, you know, to good relationship.
I mean, I'm going to say, again, because I'm of a mind to do it, I'm going to get controversial. But I mean, you know, it really makes me mad when Christians talk about unity. Because I think, what do you mean? What do you mean unity? Well, you know, let's make a statement together. I was invited to be a part of a statement recently. I think I don't want to be a part of a statement. I just want to hang out and get to know you. And if you laugh at my jokes, I might like you. But I mean, not everybody's going to be your buddy. Not you know, some friends are going to be closer than others. I mean, even Jesus, like when you think about it, he had some who were closer to him than others.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Even within the 12.
Right. Even within the 12, there were some who were closer to him than others, and there were others who were in the outskirts who, you know, took a bit more time to really develop a relationship. Chemistry, it's got a lot to do with it. You got and you hang out, and you put away the pretense, you know, and you just recognize we're human beings. We're all on a journey. We've got stuff that we're dealing with, and chilleth out off.
I think you're right.
Little King James English.
Yeah, you think back to, like, you know, one of I guess the classic friendship stories in the Bible of David and Jonathan. Like, they didn't really have much in common. Their backgrounds were very, very different, but they were really good friends. And it's definitely that thing about chemistry. It goes to show really that background isn't really that much. And you know, like-mindedness isn't the main thing. It's about chemistry, isn't it? And connecting at a deeper level.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think as well, without chemistry, it would just be draining. And nobody wants to be hanging around with someone where you're just like, this is hard work, or this is like, you have to be on it, or where.
If it's hard work, you think, what's the point? Yeah. This is work.
Just going back to what we were talking about friendships at the beginning, I think that this links him strongly with actually friendships need to be refreshing. Like, actually, I want to go away from spending time with a friend feeling better than I went into that interaction with. Do you know what I mean? Because, you know, it doesn't just have to be super intellectual. It can just be actually, I feel better when I'm with this person.
So, oh, sorry, Pastor. I was going to say, because it's kind of been like brought up by a couple of people talking about, like, you know, the realness of, like, you know, the chemistry. But when you meet someone, like, I mean, we all kind of have like a mask. We don't like give everyone like our thoughts.
Especially now as well.
It's true.
All those sermons you ever heard about, don't take off the mask, they're scrapped. Put the mask back on.
Wow. That's good.
But no, yeah, we often have like a mask, and we don't let people see like the real us straight away. So how, like, if you want to make a friend, how do you show like the real you, but like not overcompensate, but have this, so you like, because you want your chemistry to be, I guess, matched, so you don't want to like present something that you're not, I guess.
Well, you got to be the real you you got to be as real as you are in everyday life. So I'm me. That's the thing about putting a few years on the clock. You think I don't really care anymore, and I never did care anyway. But I just, but I think what you're probably getting at there is the whole thing of vulnerability. All of us are dealing with things in our lives that are, private and personal, that you don't want. It's not appropriate to talk about those things in front of everybody. And you're not going to share those things with everybody because it's just not appropriate to do it. But so then when you do talk about those things, you want to know that whoever I'm sharing this with, I want to know that they're going to be loyal, they're going to be faithful, they're not going to betray confidence, they're going to keep it, But I can only work that out when, we've done when the test of time has been, proven, as it were. But in terms of, I always say you got to start in the shallow end and then work your way into the deep end. So here's what a lot of Christians want to do. They want to go deep. I mean, deep is like a cool word, if you're a certain type of Christian. I remember hearing somebody say, we don't do shallow in this church. We don't do it. But I said, we do. I said, listen, in the Junction Church, we do shallow brilliantly. We are experts in shallow. I said, no, and it's a lot smarter than, if you jump into the deep end, you're going to drown. And that's what happens with a lot of churches. You start in the shallow end and then you make your way into the deep end.
That's great.
You make your way in there. You gotta take people on the journey. You can't force it. You can't force it and expect it to work. People are going to drown if they just jump into it. It'll be tiring. It'll be work. It'll not be enjoyable. You got to learn to have fun. You got to learn to laugh. I think that's one of the things we do in the Junction Church. We learn to, I remember in the early days we had you were one of them.
I was
back at our house, and we would you would have
I got scared when you said you were one of them. What story is coming up now?
You came back to our house every Sunday afternoon, and I would make you dinners. I made so much food that even you and both of them couldn't even finish it.
I know.
I got to tell you, that's a miracle as well. The fact that they couldn't.
We could eat.
These guys could eat, but I mean that's where you did it. That's where we developed relationship.
Yeah.
Just do our strapline. We do life. Just do life.
Yes.
Just do life. Just talk about life. I think that's what church has got to do, is talk about real life. And then when we get real about the realities of life, not the dupe revolutions and walking around like halo in the head and, dupe, the Holy Spirit spoke to me. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. No, God is not Jehovah Chatty.
That is true.
People forget that there's 400 years between Malachi, the Italian prophet, and Matthew.
Malachi.
I call it Malachi.
That is the best pronunciation I've heard of that.
Wow.
Pasta.
Oi.
Well,
Quality humor. You should be paying for this. Now, what was I just saying there before you rudely interrupted me?
I can eat loads.
People want to force prophecies on me. Stop it. I don't want you to force a prophecy on me. I don't want you to give me a word from God every 2 minutes. I don't want you to put scriptures through my door every 2 minutes. I just want to talk about life. And I want to talk about how faith works. And I think when we get it right at that level, that's the shallow end. And then we make our way into the deep end. And it really, really works. That's my 364 years on this earth. I just imparted that.
Boom.
What do you think, Joe?
I agree with that. You're absolutely right. And I think that I'm kind of thinking of the question that you asked as well that led into that. I think it's the wrong approach to kind of look at someone and go, or to kind of think, I want to make a friend, and then you kind of single someone out and then you make it your mission to make that person your friend. I don't think that's the right approach. I feel like you meet people, and then as you do life, and like Pastor Roy says, you start in the shallow end, you just do life with people. Then you identify the people who are actually, who you can be friends. And at the end of the day, all the stuff we said at the start paints the picture that friendship isn't really a one-way street. If you identify someone who can be a good friend for you, and they actually are, the likelihood is they've also identified you as a good friend, because it's a two-way thing. If I pull out one of my old biology terms, it's a symbiotic relationship. You both
Look
I've been
at
waiting
you.
waiting to use that word.
Symbiotic.
Sin by what?
Symbiotic.
Okay.
Symbiotic.
Very
So
powerful.
it's a very powerful word. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Harvard. But yeah, you both gain from it at the end of the day, and it's a mutual thing. It just organically happens.
Sin.
Symbio.
Sin.
No, if it was sin, I wouldn't have said it.
I thought you were encouraging people to get into sin here when you
No, don't get into sin.
Thank you for clarifying.
which leads me nicely on to my next question, which is can a Christian oh my word, well, there's no other way of saying it, can a Christian have friendships with people who are not Christians? No.
She was going to come to me.
It's a bit tough, isn't it?
It's tough because I think if we're going back to some of the issues we've talked about here, like a friend is someone I'd go to for advice, or for someone if I'm going through challenges. And sometimes actually worldly people who don't know God, their beliefs or their advice may not align with what we believe in. So I think that's where like kind of you've automatically put a barrier there. If you're going to someone and talking about, oh, I'm struggling in, I was going to say my marriage, but I can't example, so that's a bad example.
No, it's a surprise.
Do you want to tell us something?
I know, innit?
But, I mean, that's just an example, though. If you're going to someone and saying that as an example, and someone else's advice is going to be completely off the scale, probably, to what you would want to hear from a Christian friend.
Yeah.
Not all the time, but I think most of the time. That's what I've experienced in life.
So I think what you're saying is you've got to manage your expectations of that friendship, because there's a different value system going on.
Definitely,
I suppose. Then, what do you think?
I agree with that. I think there will always be a ceiling to the depth of relationship as a Christian that you can have with a non-Christian, and that's not to say you can't have good relationships. You absolutely can, and they can add a lot of value, to your life as well in other settings. Professionally, for example. It's not wrong to have those relationships, but then when it comes to the it's that word again, deeper issues of life and the more sort of important things, then you're just, I think anyway, you're just way off base if you're going to someone who doesn't hasn't had that revelation of God's love and shares those values as well. Like you're better off having a Christian friend and who has a proven track record. Of
course, you can have friends who are not Christians. Of course, you can, but it's the depth of that friendship, where that friendship can go. My faith is the essence of my very being.
Right.
And when there's a friend who doesn't have that's a challenge, isn't it? And that's and then there can be a clash of value systems as well. Yeah. Which if there's an attempt to influence me to do stuff that are against my values, then that might even compromise the friendship. Yeah. And that's the challenge with that stuff as well. Okay, Angie, what about online friendships? Because I guess in lockdown, that's the way that people are interacting at the moment. Do you think is it possible? Am I old and cynical, Angie?
I think as
Angie, just say no.
No, well, no, you're
Thank
not.
you.
No, I did keep him.
That's twice now.
That's twice in one night that she has, dissed her.
Is there going to be a rooster somewhere crowing?
It's like a youth rebellion.
It's because your questions are so.
This rebellious generation.
But is it possible? Is it a deal? Is it possible to have genuine online friendships?
I think it's so interesting because I think I think this generation, I think it is possible, but to an extent, and hear me out, because a lot of people might think, oh, it's like impossible. But I think, we've been talking about the fact that people, the connection, and online people somehow feel a type of connection, whether that be through the same interests, the same values, or whatever. And I think especially during this whole year and this whole pandemic, with the only form of communication being online, people have really I'm saying this from experience, but I think people have really relied on online communication, and I think that in itself has provided in some ways another mode of actually being able to have some type of relationship. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be the same as an in-person friendship, and they might look a bit different, but I don't think it's like massively impossible. I think they just look a bit different.
Yeah, but context is everything, though, isn't it? So, for example, you guys at TRG, you've been hanging out, and that's all been online, and that's great. But then, is it not a bit unreal or don't you think it's a bit unreal if, let's say, I come across an Instagram account and somebody looks like they're really cool, and I think, oh, I want to be your friend.
Oh yeah.
Because that's what they could be posting is probably rubbish.
Yeah, and I think that's the other side of it. Like, because again, online we only see what people allow us to see and have access to, and I think sometimes
they don't even look like that.
Well, yeah. It's the filters.
The filters in it.
And I think sometimes we get confused about the fact that we have so much access to people's lives, and that means that we know a person, but actually we don't. And I think, again, like you're saying, looking at someone's Instagram page or seeing someone's profile and thinking just because they look like this, or just because we play a certain game, or just because they said this, that all of a sudden we're going to be best friends is an unrealistic expectation. So I think it circles back to the whole thing of investing time. Now, I'm not saying like you just go and message random people online and be like, can I be your friend? You might look like a bit of a weirdo, but like at the same time, I think it's the investment and the process and the journey of building a friendship.
Yeah,
two people coming in.
We were talking about chemistry at the start, weren't we? And I can like what you were saying, right? I'm like, okay, like I can understand if those people have met before and they've already developed some chemistry, and there is chemistry between them, and then obviously coronavirus happened, and you have to kind of keep that going online. Cool, yeah, that can probably, there's already something there. I don't think that you can have chemistry with someone that you met for the first time online, because anything that you kind of think is going on is manufactured, because essentially you've never met that person, and your head makes what you want to believe. So it's like you kind of manufacture this virtual chemistry in your head that's working great, but I don't think it is, because at the end of the day, like there's no substitute for actually interacting with somebody and like getting all of the other the other communication signals that people send that aren't necessarily what they type out or what they say by voice. So I don't think you can form a friendship at all without that close, like what you said, the lady was talking about, what was it, intimacy and interaction. Like it needs that intimacy, otherwise it's just fake chemistry, isn't it? It's not real.
Well, you can start, it's context, isn't it? You might be able to, that's what Angie was saying, you might be able to get some, form a connection online, but for it to develop, it's very, very challenging. But when there's the barrier of a screen there, very, very challenging. Very challenging to make it work.
Because I was going to say the same thing. Like online, it's hard to form that chemistry as well, and it's also like, I don't know, like even laughing at jokes, looking at an emoji, like I like people who laugh at my jokes as well, like past Joy. So I'm just looking at someone sending me emojis. I don't really get the same kind of vibe or chemistry as someone who was in person. And I think I would say that the online kind of is a part of a friendship. So like, we're friends, right, Joe?
Yeah. I passed the exam. I passed the test.
The online kind of adds to that. So I can WhatsApp him, like, oh, hey, Joe, like, found this meme. So it kind of adds to that relationship already.
Extension.
It's not the main means of communication. It's just it's an additional to the in-person stuff.
It's like a supplement in food, isn't it? It's not like your main meal, but it's like
the
a little
salt
extra
on your chips.
Wow, these food, I'm getting hungry now.
It's like the vinegar on your fish.
Oh, come on now. It's like the ketchup in your, what do you put ketchup on?
Chips.
It's like the caviar with your oysters.
Oh, there you go.
For Pastor Jonah. Pastor Jonah.
Now we're talking.
Okay.
For me, it's a cheese on my toast.
I've got a question for you, Noel. This is a big one.
Why do I get all the big questions?
You are a very popular individual.
He is.
Everybody wants to be your friend. Well, that's not true. Not everybody. There's people I know that actually. Yeah, that's true.
Understandably so.
Okay, somebody. This is a crass, straight up question. Somebody says, "I want more friends. I want more friends." So, how does somebody go about getting more friends?
For me, I mean, this is going to sound, just from experience, actually. The people I used to think were my friends were the people, I realized that they were just very, I don't know what the word would be like. It was just relationship just because I saw them often, if that makes sense. Yep. So like people in school. I just saw them every day, 5 days a week. Yeah, so I would think, oh, those are my friends. But actually, the moment I came to Loughborough for university, I never spoke to any of those again. And the people that I'm closest to now, the people I would call them my friends, are people that I've just met in church community. And the way that happened was it wasn't anything forced. We just used to hang out at life group together. I made sure I went to life group at Sunday when we were serving. We'd just be having, like you said, it's the whole fun thing about church. That's why I loved coming along every morning. We'd be just doing utter nonsense.
I think the first week you came, I chased you around.
Chased you around the car park with a knife past me.
Wow.
No nose were handed in the production.
It was all above board. It was safe as well.
Risk assessment was done. It was great. Okay.
But it's funny you mentioned that, Pastor, because the first time I was saying to Joan, I think the other day, I remember that first preach you preached on that first Sunday, because I felt so convicted. It was about getting around crazy friends. Yeah. And I think that's the thing, like, it's not anything I've forced the people I'm around, but actually it's put myself in those opportunities where I can meet like-minded people or meet people who just fun as well. I think I love all the guys in church. We just do life together when we're setting up, we have fun, and because of that you form that depth kind of comes over time. So you start at the shallow end by just light-hearted conversation to start with, but then after that someone might say something, be like, oh, how are you doing with this? You mentioned this last week when we were setting up.
But that's your personality. But then I come to Jonah, and Jonah's a thinker, and you analyze. So for the thinkers out there, what are you, introvert, extrovert? What are you?
I would be an introverted extrovert.
Remember those old Facebook relationship statuses?
It's complicated.
This is life.
For real.
How do you go about making friends?
Yeah, I love...
Talk to the introverted, extroverted introverts.
Yeah, the complicated people. I would say best thing to do, just put yourself around people. I mean, you want more friends.
What if you hate being around people, but you want more friends?
Well, it's a bit of a catch-22 really there, isn't it? I mean, I suppose actually we all need friends. I would say is point number one is actually, no matter how introverted you are, my wife is the most introverted person I know. But she is amazing with people, and she makes sure that she gets around people because she knows that she needs it. And actually for her, I remember she would say when she went to university for the first time, it was actually a bit of a worry for her, that she was like, oh, because my tendency is actually I just want to stay in my room. Like, I prefer my own company. But actually for her, it was a case of, I need to make sure that I go to church. I need to make sure that I go to life. I need to make sure that I get around people, because otherwise I'm going to find myself in a situation where I've got no friends. And so actually step number one is just put yourself in an environment where there are other people, like Noel said, set up life group, wherever, and then just share life.
Any tips on overcoming nerves, self-consciousness, all that sort of stuff? Because that stuff can be a big deal for a lot of people, They're sitting in a room and they think, I just don't fit in. I don't fit in. I can't be cool. I'm not funny. I don't know what to say, but I'd love to be better at that. Any tips or advice to offer people?
Yeah. I mean, first things first, like, you're 100% not alone. There's probably most of the people in that room are thinking the same thing that you are at the end of the day. And so best thing you can do if you don't know what to say, Pastor, you gave me some brilliant advice when I was a student, is when you don't know what to say, just laugh. Just sit there and enjoy the moment. So much of the time, especially for the analytical people, we can feel this kind of pressure to find the right thing to say, or to be like, oh, everyone else is talking way more than I am, maybe I should say something, whatever. But actually, if you're in an environment where there's other people and people are having a good time, just enjoy the moment.
Right.
Just be there in the moment and laugh. Someone say, Noel's just cracking jokes left, right and center. Just like laugh at it. And
humor them. They're not funny. They're ridiculous. But you go, ha ha ha. Let's all practice laughing. This is like the weirdest. Somebody just tuned in now. Like, hang on, Toronto Blessing Part 2. What is that? But no, that is so good. And I think one of the other things as well is, and believe it or not, people get amazed at me. I'm an introvert. I am not an extrovert. I am a total introvert. I love my company. I love being on my own. So it's a discipline to get out there, be friends, and so on. But I find what really helps is when you can't think of anything to say and you find yourself in a situation where you feel a little awkward, a little out of place. Story of my life. You laugh along, brilliant, and then you ask questions.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
The
Great.
thing that I've learned in life is that people love talking about themselves. They love it. And if you will show interest, you've just got a friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want friends. Is that a song?
You got,
You got a friend.
in
Sorry,
me.
you got friends. You got a
friend.
Dionne Warwick, 1960s.
Boom.
Burt Bacharach.
Yes.
He wrote that song.
You didn't look convinced there, Joe.
I didn't know what it was, but I agree.
That's a guess as to who wrote that song. I hope another copyright strike.
Yeah.
Oh, that's another massive chunk
Come on,
of
get
it
with it,
gone.
Jib. Okay, all right. So anyway, that's it. Here's another issue. What about the idea of a platonic friendship? Ooh.
Pastor Roy,
go on.
can I just jump in there at the get-go on this one? Because in my late teens, like me and one of my friends
didn't you?
who was
Becca's
a girl,
watching Jonah
me
before you
and one of my
continue.
friends was a girl, right? We used to have conversations about this all the time. We used to be like, do you know what? What is this, in our church youth group, they would say, just be aware with like guy-girl relationships. And we're just like, it's rubbish that you can't have platonic relationships with people of the other sex. It doesn't make sense. She'd say the same, I'd say the same, blah, blah. Then we got married.
So I think it's a roundabout way of saying that it wasn't platonic.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm going to tell you something. We'll get back to platonic in a moment. Some of you are just Googling that
Yeah.
to find out what it means, platonic. You think, is it Pluto?
I was going to say platonic. Plate.
Jonah. Becca came up to see Jonah.
He already knows the story.
And he introduced me to her. This was the days when we met at the Odeon Cinema. And she just, the measure of Becca just got stuck in, surfing in the church, just there, right? And so we went for a walk in Queen's Park the next week.
Yeah.
And I said, so Jonah, what's the deal? Bearing in mind that Becca's stunning, right? And there's Jonah.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Beauty and the Beast.
And,
I'm praying for you, man. That's tough to take.
I'm trying to make the point. He was
Hey, man, it's the
punching
biggest-
above his weight.
Biggest win of my life.
Honestly. And so Jonah, I said, Jonah, what the heck are you talking about? There's, boom.
Yeah.
It was there.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
So I just mentioned
Got the ring on the finger,
So
sorted.
Basically, it's all down to me.
Posture has given a very good summary, which made you look good, Jonah, as well. So
There you go. There
Take
you
that
go.
one.
What is
Thank
that?
you,
There's another
Pastor Ray.
version of this story.
that's the
Is that-
story for another time, though.
Oh.
Yeah,
my
there's probably a
word.
10 version.
There's loads of versions.
But okay, so is there such a thing as a platonic friendship? Is that, and let's get real about this. Is that, is that possible, Joe?
No, not in my experience.
I love your directness, Joe.
I just don't think it is.
Not a hint of nuance. With Joe. You listen to Jonah, nuance, build up, Joe.
So you ask me a question, I tell you
Such an engineer, that's the right answer.
it's like boom. No, I don't think so. I think you can have good relationships with people of the opposite gender, but I don't think it's wise, if you don't have any intention, or if you're already in a relationship, or if you're married. I don't think it's wise to be having like a friendship.
Why?
Well, because you're being really vulnerable with someone else, and and there's a potential for for things, I don't know, for attraction or boundaries to be crossed and all that. Thank you. That's what I was trying to get at. But I just don't. I don't think it's wise, and I don't think it's the route to go. Personally,
Can I add to that as well? Because I would say as well, I remember before I came to university, I would have thought, oh no, it's fine. But what really challenged my thinking was actually when the scenario was put forward, like, Jonah, because you're married, I'm going to pick on you. But if Jonah said he's going for a meal with Noel and Joe, I'd be like, okay, yeah, that's cool. But then if he's like, I'm going to a meal with this girl, either way, or if Becca said, I'm going for a meal with this guy, you're automatically thinking, like, that's just really dodgy, isn't it? Weird. So why would it be okay before you're married and stuff? Because does that make sense? I don't know if that makes sense, but
What are you talking about?
so that didn't make sense.
I think in terms of what...
Wasn't that funny?
That was frustrating. You just looked at me like,
on your face.
Wasn't it? I was like,
It's just like, give me back that 10 seconds you just took away from me.
Well, who was going to say something? Sorry.
Jonah was going
I was just going to jump on that because if I've understood your point correctly,
wow, thank you. I'm dyslexic, all right? My excuse every time.
oh my word. So what you're getting at is that if two people are dating or they're married, and if I would say, if I would say to Becca, oh yeah, I'm just going out for a dinner with this other woman, it would be like, what? Is there something going on here? And so actually then but then if I'm with Becca, if I'm married, I can still hang out with my friends, and so it just shows there's something different about the dynamic when you're hanging out with somebody of the opposite gender. Just a question following on from that though, so almost how does that play out in life? Because do you know what I mean? What I mean is, I don't know what I mean. What I mean is, should you then be just shunning people of the opposite sex? Or how do you go about that? How do you establish a healthy patterns of interacting with
the
people?
point that you just made. If you're dating somebody and you're in and that's then you want to respect the person you're dating by not messing around with other people, not leading people on. I think people people know what they're doing when they're doing that stuff. And again, there's probably a whole bunch of heart issues going on in there. I feel the need to feel admired. I feel the need to be liked. Why? But then you want to try and get to grips with why. Why do you feel the need to do that? You've got somebody in your life who really loves you, cares for you. Why do you feel the need to? So those are healthy questions that probably need to be addressed. But ultimately, I think it's probably about respecting the person you're dating, really, and giving them the respect that they deserve. Anyway,
and I think context is key as well. Like you said, like it doesn't mean you're going to go through life shunning the opposite sex. You can have relationships in context, like in a group context, for example. But then you're not going to go off and do things just as a couple when there's nothing. In that context going on, because then the context can easily get confused, can't it? And that's where people get into entanglement.
People get themselves into all kinds of trouble. We've had this, we've come across situations over a lot of years. You involve alcohol in there, you involve whatever else in there. And then people end up making decisions. Friendships are compromised because a boundary was crossed. And that's the danger, I think, when there's a lot of alcohol consumed, especially in the whole student life, But there's that is the danger. Boundaries are gone and are largely gone. And that's a challenge. That's where people get themselves into huge, huge trouble. And in this day and age, you cannot do that. You cannot live like that because you are going to be called out. And so it's really important to think that through. Platonic friendships. There you go. There's another one. All right, let's think about some more. We're doing good here. What time is it? It is now. We've got a few more minutes. Can we keep on with this?
Yep.
That's great.
Yeah, good. You all happy? If you're happy, if this is helping you put something on the comments, is there an emoji, an appropriate emoji that people can put?
Hands up.
Now, here's what I want you. I want you to put hearts on there to say we're loving this. Yeah, and also because we're basically a bunch of very insecure people. I mean, Jonah was just telling me this just before we came on in confidence. He was saying, I'm joking.
The key bit being in confidence.
Put some hearts on there. Let us know you love us, and then we'll keep going for a few more minutes. Okay. Here's one. Right. How do you handle it? And I'm going to come to Angie because this is TRG one. Well, it's for everybody. So let's say I want to be your friend because you're cool, right? You got the cool glasses on and everything now. So you're cool. By the way, everybody here is wearing glasses, but just thought I'd mention that.
Come on.
So I say I want to be your friend, but you don't reciprocate. So the other person doesn't feel the same way. How do you manage your heart then when the person that you'd like to become your friend doesn't want to become your friend? How do you manage your heart and all that? Because that can be devastating.
No, I was going to say it can really hit differently when like you put yourself out there to become someone's friend, and they basically just shut you down. But I think sometimes you just got to remember that actually them not wanting to be your friend is not a reflection on yourself. It doesn't mean that you're a terrible person or, you know, no one's ever going to want to be your friend. That's just one person and one person's perspective. I think it's all about managing expectations as well. Like, you know, everyone wants to be friends and everyone wants to have friends, but not everyone's going to want to be our friends. And I think when you enter with that expectation of, okay, I'm just going to put myself out there, I'm going to do all the things that a good friend is supposed to do. If it works, great, then we'll have a great friendship. If it doesn't, at least I was still nice to this person. And I think, sometimes it's hard because you want everything to go your way, but sometimes in life it doesn't. And you just got to pick yourself up and you go again.
And you got to play it cool as well. So, you know, take it easy. Don't rush in there. You know, like, hey, would you be my friend? Would you be my friend? Because that's the surest way that people wouldn't want to be your friend. Is if you say, I'm desperate for friends. I'm desperate for friends. No. You've for me, you just got to play it cool, and you got to just, you know, get in there and laugh and ask questions and get to know people. It's actually hard work, this friendship. In one sense, it's hard work, in the sense that you got to make the effort. If you want to develop, if you want to have friends, you've got to be friendly.
True.
There you go.
So there's the quote of the night. Every time you write that, you pay me royalties. If you want friendships in your life, you've got to be friendly. If I'm just going around doing, you know, would you be my friend? If I talk like that, nobody wants to be my friend. Whereas if I just come in and I just chill and I learn to be at ease with myself, and you recognize that some people are going to like me and some people are not going to like. That's fine. I'm chilled about that. I'm not going to take it personally. I'm going to try my best not to take it personally. I think that kind of helps. What do you think, Joe?
I agree with that. Yeah, there needs to be an easiness, not only to the approach of making friends, but also to the way that we react to a relationship, you know, that we wanted to work, not working out. You know, if you had that person, you wanted them to be a friend, you can't then be super intense about it when they say no, because then, you know, it doesn't really look good on you, does it? And it's not really healthy. I think it probably shows a lack. Maybe there's a deeper thing going in there, maybe about just how we kind of view yourself or view ourselves, and you know, but perhaps it just kind of shows that maybe we need to kind of, you know, work a bit on just kind of really, you know, allowing God's love to help us love ourselves a bit more and see the value that we have.
That's good.
And then take it from there.
What do you think, Noel?
Yeah, I would say as well, if it's forced, I think a forced friendship is never going to last. So you just got to, like you said before, Pastor Roy, start in the shallow end and work your way in the deep and just let it naturally progress. And just go with that rather than trying to give all in and going with high expectations and then being like, oh, because these expectations were met, I'm not friends with this person, I feel let down. Whereas if you actually don't have much expectation in the first place and you're like, I'm just going to hang out with this person, then you're not going to, you reduce the chance of you letting yourself get let down. Got there in the end.
What are you talking about?
I knew that was coming.
I'm joking.
You know, that's really interesting as well, because I think sometimes we put a lot of expectations on people that they don't even realize that you've put on them.
Exactly.
So we're the ones that are out here being upset and the other person's just living life. Chilling. And like, I think that highlights a good point of actually, again, expectations that, you know, when it comes to rejection, that actually the ownership is on you, and the ownership is on you maybe to move it along. It sucks and it's all right to be like, I'm upset, but the ownership to keep it moving does come from ourselves. We can't look to that other person to make us feel better about the fact that they don't want to be friends with us.
That's so true, isn't it? Expectation is the big deal here, really. It's not usually people that let us down, it's our expectations of people that let us down. It was the fact that our expectations were so darn high and unrealistic, because nobody's that good, and nobody deserves 100% of your expectation. Only God deserves that, because, you know, and there's good reason for that. So I suppose that's a challenge there. Okay, one final one then. What obviously friendships can go through tough times. Sometimes friendships break down, or so it's not even so much sometimes they break down. It's just sometimes, you know, you were friends at school and then you go off to university and see each other again after that. It's not the same.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, you know, you've gone to one university and somebody else has gone to another university. It's like, different interests in life and so on. So there's obviously seasons where friendships can come to an end, and that's okay, isn't it?
Yeah, that's fine.
It's okay. We shouldn't get too hung up about that, you know, or feel too guilty about that. You know, still be friendly and be nice and so on, but just, you know, sometimes seasons change. But I'm thinking more when there's acrimony in the, you know, at the end of the friendship, or you know, a confidence has been betrayed. Or, you know, you really let me down, or you know, you said that you wouldn't say anything, but you went and blurted it out to everybody in the whole, you know, community or whatever. How, when you feel let down, well, we've all got the capacity, by the way, to let others down as well. That's worth acknowledging. But when we are on the receiving end of that, we feel let down, we feel hurt and betrayed in a friendship. How do you manage your heart and stay sane and get going again? And I'm talking to Angie.
I think it's so interesting. I am saying that because this has happened to me. Like, friendship breakups are rough. And I know from personal experience, I had someone who was, I considered like my best friend, and like miscommunications happened, things were said, and I thought she would be in my life for like all my life. And then a couple of years ago, she just basically turned around and said, she, like, in the nicest way, she didn't want to be friends with me anymore. And I was so upset, because I was like, I thought I knew a person and I thought I knew what our future would hold. And then all of a sudden it was kind of like ripped from underneath of me. And I was like, you know, like, maybe it's like a girl thing, but I was like, what am I going to do? What does my life even mean anymore? Because of this one friend. Yeah, right. And I think it's interesting, but I think, to manage our heart, we've just got to be real with the situation. You know, it's like you say, Pastor Roy, you know, when you sweep things under the rug, you don't get rid of them, you just have lumpy carpets. Exactly. So if you try and move on too quickly, or don't even acknowledge the situation has happened, like, it's that whole thing of like maybe grief. Like, you have to acknowledge that the pain and the hurt has happened in order to, I guess, kind of move on and look to the future. And sometimes in our heart, we've got to, it sounds bad, like sit in a place of sadness so then we can continue on to grow and develop and learn from the situation. So I think when it comes to managing your heart, it's acknowledging that the pain has happened, but also acknowledging that this is not how it's going to be forever. And one person is not the accumulation of like your whole friendship group, or hopefully your whole. I think
that's a really good answer, because you know, when a friendship like that comes to, and you've articulated that brilliantly, it is like a grief, isn't it? You feel like you've lost a loved one. You know, all the hopes and dreams and aspirations you had for the friendship, and, you know, it's gone. Like, it's not here, you know. So it is important that we don't just rush on and say, I'm fine, I can deal with it. I've got over it now. I got over it now. No, you gotta give yourself time to breathe and to grieve as well, and to just say, yeah, no, that was really, really tough. And then I suppose, I mean, again, maybe this is too pragmatic. You got to look at the lessons you can learn from it and think, okay, what do I need to learn from that? But that's over time. But it is really tough, though, isn't it, when that happens? It really it can hurt the heart. What about you, Joe?
I was going to say that, actually, what you just said at the end, the lessons. I think there's two sides to it. It's either, and I guess we're talking about a specific scenario, aren't we? Like, you know, there's been a breach of trust. So it's either they've breached your trust or you've breached their trust, and that's, you know, that's equally possible. And I think you know, if it's a case where perhaps you're the one at fault, then, you know, it's absolutely important to learn those lessons and apply them going forward. But also it's important to seek forgiveness. I think that's important. Now, seek forgiveness doesn't mean you're going to get it, but the fact that you actually apologize and show remorse and you say you're sorry, that's important, because what you do, that really helps you as well. And the other person, they may or they may not, but that's up to them. But I think it's the right thing to do. And then you don't have to put pressure on that relationship coming back again and being what it was, because let's be honest, it probably won't. But then you can take the lessons and you can move on. And if someone else has hurt you, then I think as Christians, you know, we're absolutely, you know, the Bible tells us we should forgive. And I think it's important to forgive, but it doesn't mean that you then just patch everything back like it was. Sometimes you got to be realistic and realize that relationship has run its course rather. The season for that's over, and I think a lot, like, seasons end, and sometimes maybe we put too much pressure in how they end, but they do end. And I think, like, sometimes maybe just having a bit of pragmatism can be quite helpful going forward.
It's getting a bit heavy now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Obviously, everybody wants to be my friend. I think we all would acknowledge that. What is it about me, Noel?
It's your jokes. It's your jokes. Well, no, that sounds really.
No, but he's not wrong. It's the timing of your jokes. It's the way you just take a single thing that happened 5 seconds ago and just turn it into something brilliant.
Legit.
Good.
Yeah.
Can we give the Lord the glory for this, please? I don't want to be sitting here taking glory in the presence of the Lord. No flesh shall glory in His presence. I think it's my humility, honestly. That is why
Are you proud of your humility,
as well. That when they're around me, He's humble and He's really proud of that. What a way to end. Eh?
We love it.
Hey, okay, I hope you enjoyed that tonight. We did Real Talk. We've covered a whole bunch of stuff. And so I hope it's kind of really helped a lot of people tonight. Got to talk about the games night. Oh my word, the games night. Now we've got like loads of people booked in, so that's happening on Saturday night. If you're listening to this on Spotify, it's a little bit old news now, but make sure you join the next one. But what is this games night? What is it?
It's happening tomorrow night at 7 p.m.
So tomorrow night, Saturday night, 7
night,
p.m. on
the Zoom.
The Zoom.
The Zoom.
And you can sign up. Someone will put the link, but you can sign up in church
Can
suites for that.
somebody on the YouTube put a link
comments.
to the Zoom?
If not, I will put it in myself.
Can you put a link on?
Multitasking, yeah.
I will multitask.
Yeah. Give us 5 minutes, we'll work this out.
No, can you tell us one of your stories?
What is this then? Do you know what this games night is?
Yeah, well, it's hosted by the student team. So normally we have a thing called student hangouts where we've been playing like a bunch of different games.
Yep.
And the student team have basically planned this crime scene mystery.
Crime scene
Ooh.
mystery.
Yes. So there's a scenario that's happened and we have to try and figure out. I think they said there's a couple of suspects and we have to decipher from the suspects who we think committed the crime.
Oh.
So I think from what I understand, we'll be in groups and we'll be going around different breakout rooms, working in teams together. It's going to be good.
So
Student team is
7
good.
p.m. Yeah. What time does it finish at? When does the murder actually happen? And does somebody get murdered in it?
I think.
Is that what happens?
I don't know if it's a murder.
Does somebody get murdered in this, Jordan? Do you know?
I don't know, Pastor.
You have to.
No idea.
You have to turn up and see.
Wait, what if I turn up and it's me? Now I'm scared.
Surprise!
Is it any of us? Could it be any of us who
Well,
is
I mean-
recipient of this particular hack?
Might be Noel. He does have a history of getting chased around.
All right, so that's tomorrow night on the Zoom. So have you put a link
I
up
have
here?
put the link.
Put the link
yeah.
in.
Oh,
Where's
we
the
both
link? I
put
can't see the link.
Wow.
I did. I put it.
I can't see any
I
link.
can't see a link.
Oh, it's
No, there's no link. Look, let me just type
7:57.
It's close to it.
link. So it's working.
Yeah, I definitely put it
I just
in,
wrote link
and
there
it's
on the
gone.
comments.
It's gone.
Gone through. So
No, as in it's
How
not
many
there
people
anymore.
does it take to put one link in a chat? That's,
No,
that's
yeah.
the,
I've
that's
done
the
it
new
twice now.
question.
What do you want? Did you have a
Oh,
prayer
Amy's
meeting
done it
about
as
this?
well.
It just, Lord, I pray the link works. It just keeps
Amy
disappearing.
Chandler's done it.
Hang on,
I've
Amy
seen-
Chandler's done it. There's the link.
Has she done it?
Junction. It's on the church suite.
Am I banned from the church YouTube? Can you imagine?
I was just not appearing now.
Can you type the word link on there just to make sure that you're able to?
I did.
partake
I
of
posted
this?
it and it went through, and then a few seconds
Yeah.
later, it wasn't there anymore.
Yeah.
Can anyone else see Joe's link? Oh, maybe. Oh, maybe we've taken it away.
It's not there, Joe.
No,
This is an issue
that's
that-
twice now.
This
I've
is
done
an
it twice
issue.
as well.
We're getting kicked
Hold on,
out.
have you been kicked out?
Dun dun dun.
Jonah,
Somebody's
can
throwing us out of YouTube.
Some-
by the way.
let me just do test. I'm on. Look.
Yeah, but will it stay on there? Because I can't see it.
Oh wait, I've just seen Knowles. I've seen Knowles.
What, just
comment.
now?
No, all I can
Yours
see
has
is
just
test.
appeared. Yours has just appeared late.
No, I can see link. I can see link from you.
I can
Not
see
the
link
actual
from you.
I can see the word link.
But my
Hang on
actual
here,
link,
folks. We're trying to sort of this issue.
my actual link isn't appearing. This is the third time I've posted it.
I just don't think it. I like Pastor Joe.
Amy Chan has blocked us past joining.
I think I've been blocked.
Well,
She
to be honest with
she
you,
wanted to put the link now. and she's like,
she wanted the glory
delete
for
that.
herself.
Yeah.
Exactly. There you go.
Oh, look, I've sorted
Anyway,
it.
there you go. There's the link right there. So you got to get yourself booked in for tomorrow night because then we're going to be breaking out into different rooms and so on. So it's a crime scene,
Investigation.
not a literal crime scene. It's a virtual.
A virtual
Yeah.
crime scene.
See, I'm with it. I'm so with it. Yes. Hey, we'd love to see you tomorrow night, 7 p.m. What a great way to spend a Saturday night.
Yeah.
You know. So, and then don't forget, then Sunday, Blessed Life series, Pastor Robert Morris. I'm loving it. I am loving it because that teaching really just does the business. It's hitting at hard issues, and I absolutely love it. So make sure you come and join us Sunday at 11 a.m. on the YouTube. So we got it all going on the Zoom, on the YouTube. We're also on the Twitter as well. I don't know if you know that. We're on the,
and the Instagram.
Spotify.
The Spotify.
We're on the TikTok as well.
We're on
The TikTok.
all the different social media avenues that are going on. You'll find that we're a very forward-thinking church in that respect. And I don't have anything to do with that. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed it tonight. Thanks, guys, for joining us. Thanks for being so open and honest. We really appreciate you guys. You're brilliant. And we will see you Sunday. No, tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night.
See you then.